Hi, welcome to the video. Today we'll talk about what is a subpoena. Welcome back. This is October 2024, and during the last 2 months, from September, maybe even August, September and October, you've seen in the TV in the Philippines about these congressional hearings, both in the Senate and in the House, regards to human trafficking and what they call the POGO system. Now, as you know, when somebody is brought forth to these hearings, they're usually given a subpoena. Now, what exactly is a subpoena? A subpoena is basically a writ or a command issued by a body which is allowed to issue the subpoena, asking that person to come to the court or that legislative body, either by himself or by that person, to testify, and that is called a subpoena ad testificandum, or produce documents regarding that is relevant to the issue at hand, and that is called a subpoena dusus tecum. Again, a subpoena ad testificandum is one that is brought forth or commanded to appear to give testimony relevant to the issue at hand. And again, a subpoena duces tecum is to produce documents, again, that should be relevant to the issue at hand with regards to that court or legislative body. Now, what are the rules for a subpoena? For subpoena ad testificandum, or subpoena to testify, that person or the testimony sought from that person must be relevant to the issues that are brought forward. If it's at the court, meaning the person's testimony is relevant to the issues either by the petitioner or the plaintiff or the defendant or the respondent, meaning the person has relevant knowledge and can shed light into the issues brought forth in that court or hearing. For legislative bodies, the person's testimony, the person's knowledge is relevant to the issue at hand, which is inquiries relevant to find out information in aid of legislation. So, for example, as for me, I was once a person that testified in a hearing for the amendments to the IP code. Since I practice IP law, they invited me in, although it wasn't a subpoena, but nevertheless they sought to seek my expert opinion. Now, let's jump the gun a little bit. Sometimes you see in the news that a person is invited to these hearings. Now, invitation is not a subpoena, meaning you can decline the invitation. You can RSVP that you are not going. But can you do that to subpoena? No, you can't. Because the subpoena technically is a legal writ, a written process issued by a body that is allowed or that is empowered to issue that subpoena. Now, what happens if you don't go to that place or go to that court or don't come forward with the subpoena? First, the law allows, and it is given that you can be cited in contempt because you did not accede or you did not follow a legal command to appear or to produce documents. Well, how can you fight the subpoena? Technically, you can. You can, what they call, file a motion or file a pleading in that body that issued the subpoena, and you can say, I want to quash that subpoena. What would be the grounds to quash the subpoena? For a subpoena duces tecum, one of the grounds that you can cite to quash a subpoena is that the subpoena is oppressive and very unreasonable. Example, you are asking the person to produce documents over the last 10 years, even the last 5 years, which would be part of a voluminous or large amount of records. That would be unreasonable and quite oppressive because that would tantamount to be a fishing expedition, meaning the person issuing the subpoena must cite the relevance of the information being sought. So therefore, you can quash the subpoena to state either that is unreasonable, oppressive, or that the information that is sought to be obtained is irrelevant or not substantial enough for the issues brought forth in that hearing or in that legislative body. Now, for subpoena ad testificandum, meaning for a testimony, you can either cite the same grounds. You can cite that the relevant information that's being sought by the person or the person's information or person's knowledge is not relevant to the issue. Meaning, for example, I cannot be brought forward for amendments on agrarian law, which I have no knowledge of. At the same time, an agrarian reform lawyer cannot be brought forward to testify or to bring information on laws regarding election. Now, for the court system, one of the ways that you can quash a subpoena is that the distance is too far. The rule is about, I think, 100 or 200 kilometers. And of course, if you bring forward a witness ad testificandum, there should be compensation as to the expense of that person going to that body. So maybe you can quash a subpoena saying that there is not enough or you weren't compensated for the transportation and the effort of going to that court or that body. That's a very thin or maybe a weak reason to quash the subpoena, but nevertheless, it is allowed, and you can cite those reasons to quash the subpoena. Now, what are the consequences, again, for not following the subpoena? First of all, I said a while ago that you can be cited in contempt. Now, being cited in contempt, as far as the court system is concerned, you basically pay a fine or you can be put into custody until you follow the subpoena. For legislative bodies, they also given the same power. I may not agree with it, but nevertheless, it is allowed by the Constitution and by the Supreme Court through jurisprudence that the Senate or House of Representatives, when they cite a person in contempt who is not following their rules, may be put into custody by the Senate or by the House until that person testifies according to the wishes of the Senate or the House of Representatives. Now, there's a citing case with a cite below that the custodial part of being in contempt has to end when Congress ends its session, meaning the committee that holds the hearing and cites that person in contempt, once the committee or the hearings are over, that person must be released. I hope you learned something today, and if you could, please, it'll help me a lot, and I truly appreciate it. Please like this video, share, but most importantly, please subscribe to the channel if you have not. Thank you and good day. Hi, please do me a favor and smash that like button. It'll help me a lot and it will trigger the YouTube algorithm. Now, if you have not yet, please subscribe to my channel. If you don't, my dog will eat this exam booklet and that student has to repeat his final exam again.